You can be as confident as you want. This game, it takes this 1 millimeter, 1 inch that can just change the whole fight. You know, my alter ego is MVP. You know, when I go into that mode, I'm MVP. I'm that wind-up merchant. I take the piss. I do it all. That face-off is the first battle. For me, I'm looking into their belief, their spirit. And I look in people's eyes and sometimes I'm like, I can see you don't believe in yourself. I've already won. Obviously, I had my first loss. In my head, I was just like, this is game over. Like, I already know. I lost because of my stupidity. I lost not because of my lack of skill. People see the 0 and the 15 fights. They feel that 0 is very important, forgetting that I've done many, many years of kickboxing. I went through 4 or 5 years of going to competitions every weekend and not coming back with a trophy. All those losses and all that experience made me MVP. So weirdly enough, I've come back with even more confidence, like going into future fights and just even in the gym, just my training, everything has stepped up, and I think it's because I'm like, yeah, now I'm 100% sure. Even though it was a loss, for me, I gained a lot in that, and I know what I need to do now.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... I always like sitting down with Michael Venom Page because he is a great fighter and a true mixed martial artist. We had him on the show 4 years ago after I met him at an Ido Portal movement event, and it's been amazing to watch his ascent in Bellator MMA. Nearly undefeated except his recent loss against Douglas Lima, which we talked about. I also asked him, is he gonna go to the UFC and take on cats like Nate Diaz repping 209 or Jorge Masvidal, the Street Jesus, and he said it's a possibility. We also talked about his hands-down fighting style and his crazy antics in the ring. Sometimes he rolls a Pokemon ball across it. Sometimes he actually takes a selfie while he's beating someone down. But this is all how he stays relaxed and in the moment, and that allows him not to get all tense and excited like a lot of fighters do, and it's what makes MVP MVP. He also talked about his future acting career, and it was just great to sit down with Michael. His head is in the right place. He's feeling stronger than ever. I'm looking forward to his future fights, so sit back and enjoy this incredible conversation. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Michael Venom Page, the British professional MMA fighter, entrepreneur, and flagship star of Bellator. You are known for an array of highlight reel knockouts for your unorthodox, hands-down fighting style due to your background as a karate point fighter. Inside the cage, you're a natural showman known for taunting opponents, walk-away knockouts, in-fight selfies, and post-fight Pokemon ball rolls. I was there that night. You recently defeated Richard Kiley by flying knee knockout, and you're scheduled to fight Derek Anderson at Wembley Arena here in London. Michael, welcome back to London Real.
Thank you for having me. I love hearing those kind of stuff. Sometimes I forget what I've done.
I'm going to record that for you so you can play it, before you go out. Right? It's been 4 years. We met, I think, at one of Ido Portal's events, and then you came in a few weeks later and kind of charted everything. But man, 4 years, I think you had just had a few fights in Bellator at that point?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think I only had a few fights in Bellator at the time. I was just kind of slowly climbing. I think I just left the Super Fight League and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was more just focusing on Bellator and being at Bellator. and then growing there. So yeah.
And so now, you know, you're hanging out with 50 Cent. You're doing these like highlight reel KOs. I was there at the O2 for the Cyborg KO, and then all this stuff. I mean, what's it been like the last 4 years? If you had to summarize or give us drop some knowledge on this, what's been going on?
It's been a massive mix. It's been a lot of positives, a lot of growth, and then a lot of negatives as well that I've had to kind of deal with simultaneously, which has just been difficult to kind of deal with at the moment. But in terms of what people can see on the outside, I think you know, things have been going really well. Obviously, I had my first loss, but I felt good in that loss. It's weird to say I felt good in the loss.
Yeah, explain that.
You know, people ask me, you know, you lost to that fight, you know, how you feeling? Is it hard to come back? And I'm like, no, not really, because if I got dominated, if I got completely trashed, it'd make me question a lot of things. Like, damn, my training, what am I doing wrong, this, that. But I didn't. I feel like I was actually the more dominant one. And I let myself get carried away in a moment. And because I'm fighting someone that is that elite, those kind of mistakes can get capitalized they can capitalize in that way. Whereas if I was fighting, you know, I don't know, someone that was not as high a level, I may have gotten away with those kind of mistakes. And this is what I need to kind of make sure that I stay sharp with. Those mistakes need to be few and far between when I'm fighting guys of the likes of like Douglas Lima and all the other guys above in that section.
Which you're going to be fighting from kind of now on, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So you're fighting Lima, and you kind of went down after you kind of overthrew a punch, and then you went down, and then it was like a split second.
So
right?
what it was though is, when I swear to you, everything was going according to plan, like everything. Even on the floor, I was like, he hasn't got anything for me. He couldn't do anything. I grabbed his wrist. He literally couldn't move. So nullified him on the ground. And that gave me an added confidence. I was like, yeah, doesn't matter where this goes. I'm good for now. So let's finish it. Let's finish this fight. And it's weird. I actually said one of us is going to fall in the second round. I actually predicted, like I said, second round, someone's going down, and I just knew that the pace that I was going at, I just felt I was in my own element, having fun as I normally do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I landed a shot. His legs went. And I was like, oh, that's the finish line. And I normally don't do that.
Okay.
Normally I'm just like, I'll just keep going because I'm enjoying this moment.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, I'm about to finish this guy. I'm about to finish this fight. And then there was a couple of, honestly, in my head, one or two more punches and the fight would have happened the same, but the opposite way around. Wow. And there was a couple of things that me and my coach had been working on. So I went to do that in that moment, because and we kind of you do it in a moment when somebody feels stressed or they feel panicked, because I knew they're going to resort to their best thing, which is his low kick. So I had already anticipated that. But because of my overconfidence in that moment, I stood in the pocket where I'm supposed to be outside the pocket. And what that means is just, I need to be far enough away for him to have to step first before throwing a kick. Whereas I'm like, I'm about to finish him. And I know what's coming next. He's gonna throw a low kick. So I stood right in front of him, ready to throw a punch. And as soon as I just didn't anticipate how quick it was gonna be still. Because it was quite fast when we were moving around in the first round. I was like, oh man, his low kicks are very quick. Like, there's very little tell.
Right.
It just comes out. And there's still a lot of weight on it. And this is why he's caused so much problems with multiple opponents in his fight, Rory included.
Yeah.
So I stood in the pocket thinking, he's rocked now as well. I'm gonna see this. And as soon as I went, the kick came out and swept me, because I was in the process of trying to land one of my last final punches.
Right.
Got swept to the floor, and it's weird, although it happens in a moment, for me it's a long time in terms of thought process. I've landed to the floor and I'm like, no, I can't let this out, because technically what I should have done, just fallen to my back and then taken my time, but it would have allowed him to recover.
Right.
And I was just like, no, stay on him. And I went to go back up and just get up the complete, like I teach classes every now and again for London Shoot, And that's the first thing I'll tell you not to do.
Right.
And it's the first thing I did. Right. In that moment of excitement, in that moment of trying to, stay on top and finish the fight. Whereas I should have just enjoyed I had 3 more rounds to do this in. Yeah. There was no real reason for me to rush.
But he was the top guy in the division, and you had him rocked.
I had him rocked, and I was just
like, second, you thought, let's just finish this.
And in my head, I was just like, this is game over. Like, I already know. So when I look back on it, and people are like, you lost the fight, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but I feel I lost because of my stupidity. I lost not because of my lack of skill. I know I'm as skillful, if not more skillful, than these people. Like, I'm sure of it now. So weirdly enough, I've come back with even more confidence, like going into future fights, and just even in the gym, just my training, everything has stepped up, and I think it's because I'm like, yeah, now I'm 100% sure. Even though it was a loss, for me, I gained a lot in that.
Yeah. And how did it feel? Sometimes it's good to get that loss out of the way, I would think. But how did it feel? Did it sting? I saw you in the post-fight interview. You didn't actually seem too bothered. No. But I mean, what is it like to have that on your record, and then people say, for the first time ever, oh, Michael, I'm sorry. Because you're used to everyone saying, great job. And you get the emails and grandma calls, and right?
It's weird because people see the 0 and the 15 fights, the 14 fights at the time that I've had, and they feel that 0 is very important, forgetting that I've done many, many years of kickboxing, and to get to be in order for me to have become MVP now, I got my ass whooped regularly. In kickboxing, I was constantly getting beaten. Every weekend.
Because you used to fight every weekend,
Every
right?
weekend.
And multiple fights, right?
Multiple fights every weekend. And although I was younger, it does train you to take losses. Because imagine, I was tall for my age, so I was always fighting people 3 and 4 years older than me, but just because I was just as tall as them. So sometimes, depending on the competition, sometimes it will go on age, but then sometimes it will go on like height and your belt. So I was fighting people that were technically a bit more muscular than me and more developed than me as a child. And yeah, just week in, week out, getting whooped.
Right. And probably more so than any other fighter in Bellator.
No, I've had, if we could count the losses, it's a lot of losses. Okay. And I went through 4 or 5 years of going to competitions every weekend and not coming back with a trophy.
So losing most of the fights.
Literally, sometimes you're traveling down to Birmingham, to Manchester, to Liverpool. First fight, you're out, that's it. And I got to sit down and watch everybody else for the rest of the day. And I'm there till the end of the day. We fight at the beginning because we're the juniors, and then our adults from our team would fight, so we had to stay there for them, and then we all travel back together on the bus. So you're there all day, but at the same time, I forget, for me, that was a lot of learning. Yeah. Because my dad was always like, you need to sit down, watch. I wasn't allowed to go run around with all the other kids. He's like, sit down, pay attention, support your team, and actually watch the fights. Yeah. So I'm just downloading. But I got used to losing until I started winning, and then got very used to winning. And all those losses and all that experience made me MVP. So this one loss for me, everyone's like, right, you took that really well. I was like, this is not the first time I've lost. It's the first time you guys have seen me lose. It's not the first time I've lost. So 5 minutes to myself to just be annoyed. I just got in there, I was got angry at myself, like, I'm so stupid. And straight away I knew that it was my mistake. And when I watched it back, I'm like, why? We planned this. Everything was going according to plan. And then I did that. 5 minutes just to be annoyed. Then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm back now. Okay, cool. That's out the way, and I know what I need to do now. Like, I was in the change room at the back, and like, yeah, trust me, I know. Yeah. When I come back, it's going to be a problem.
And normally, you're not the guy that tries to finish fights. You usually let it happen, and then when it happens, it's that last one. Then you usually look at his trainer, you look at his wife, you look at the whole crowd while he falls over.
It's a show.
It's a show. Like, you're never the guy that's like, oh, I'm going to punch you out and knock you out. And that's probably why you've been so successful, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't get, I'm not emotionally driven during a fight. I'm genuinely just having fun. I'm doing what I know I'm good at, and I'm having fun with it. And it slows things down. It makes things, it allows you to be more relaxed. You don't stress your body out as much. Sometimes there's people that I know have trained for fights, let's say like white collar boxing, since their first experience, and they're like, I feel really fit in the gym. I said, it's gonna change when you're on show, and you can be tired as soon as you get into that ring, just because the atmosphere, the stress that you're putting on yourself is like, I'm about to do this. You don't realize, but you're tensed already, and that's burning energy.
Yeah.
And the second, before you've even started, you're like, where's all this fitness that I've been doing? Where's that all gone? So, like, I know having that kind of tension can really mess you up. But so for me, being as relaxed as possible, you're never tense when you're having fun. You're laughing.
Yeah,
you're the most relaxed.
So that's one of the reasons you do it. It's in your personality.
It's in my personality, but it helps as well.
And I've heard a lot of fighters, even top level UFC guys, that go in and then they're like, I don't know what happened. They have an adrenaline dump, and then all of a sudden they have no energy.
100%.
These are guys at top of their game sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and if anyone's never watched MVP, go watch it, because you're having fun, you're sidestepping, you're dancing, sometimes you're messing with guys. It's like, it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
And you told me last time, you can hear their trainers.
Everybody.
You can see everybody in the thing, which just shows how aware you are.
I think that's also, again, the freestyle kickboxing has trained me for a lot of things. One, the losses that we just spoke about. But also, you kind of have to be, it's quite tactical. It's like an extremely fast, very fast chess game. And so you kind of had to be aware of the person's coach on the other side. So if they're telling them to do something, you had to kind of keep that in mind, as well as listen to your own coach. And it became, because you're in a fight, but it's stop-start. So you're in a fight, but then you have to pay attention to the referees, where they're positioned as well. Because sometimes I land a shot, because it's about scoring points. I land a shot, but there's two referees standing behind me, one in front. So they say no score, he scores. So I have to be like, I need to either pull him round so these guys can see the shot that I'm landing, or I have to change stance, or I have to land a different shot. And you have to be constantly like figuring things out while you're still in a fight. And that's, I think, just doing that for years and years and years without even realizing it has kind of just made me aware of stuff like that. And I've done it in the gym before. And I remember my coach, Alexis, was like, yeah, he heard that. Because sometimes, we'll have two guys in the gym, we're both from the gym, and he'll coach this person at one point, and okay, now you guys, you need to do this, and so he's kind of back and forward. And he said to the guy, look, you need to be, stop circling around to the right, circle around to the left. I need you to move around to the left. But he was talking to my opponent. And as soon as he did that, I did a spin kick. I kind of purposely stepped off to the right, knowing that he just listened to that information, and he's listening very well. He's being a good student.
Right. And you allow him to do it.
Allowed him to do that.
Spin around the other way.
Caught him with a kick. And he was like, yeah, he's listening. But it is a skill, because some people, if you're not talking to me, I'm not listening. I'm in my fight, I'm here, which is also another stress. And you get information, you have to keep like pulling yourself out and then coming back in. I've had conversations with Alexis during the fight. Michael, I need to do it. Yes, sir. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I see it. And we're having conversations back and forth.
Does that do head games to your opponent a bit?
Sometimes. I mean, and Alexis knows very well how to play head games with
the opponent.
Yeah, with the opponent. Sometimes he's, if we get a guy that we know wants to try and take me down, and he's done it with other people before, it's not just me. He's like, Michael, he wants to take you down. There's a big knee coming, yes? There's a big knee. I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, big knee, yeah, big knee. I wasn't going to throw a knee.
Just messing with his game plan.
So now he's like, no, okay, I'm not going to do this.
And that little bit of a doubt can
a little bit of doubt either makes you hesitate on your way in,
yeah,
or it just means you don't do it, which allows me to continue being myself in front of you. Which is,
is anybody in the cage as relaxed as you are?
I'm sure there are. It's obviously hard to measure. I'm sure there is, but there are guys that there's. I've been related to, like the Anderson Silvas and stuff. You can see they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell when it is. Some people are motivated differently. I'm not motivated by that enjoyment factor, and the benefits from that is, again, you're relaxed and this and that. Some people are motivated by anger. So even down to the pre-battle stare out and the little press conferences, I need to be angry at you to want to do what I want to do. And then it's all love afterwards. Everyone's like, yeah, hugging and respect. But I need to put myself, I don't necessarily dislike you, but in order for me to motivate myself, I have to say that to myself.
Right.
So that's why I want to square up with you like this. I want to create that intensity. But that's just not my character. And I identified that before I even got into mixed martial arts. I was like, I'm probably not going to do it like those guys. So what would I do with that space? What would I do with that time? And that's when I started to look into The Rock and look into all these old school wrestlers that I used to watch, and look into how to get a crowd going. What should I do for myself? What signature move should I have? And I started to look into all that, because that's more me anyway, because I'm having fun. So yeah.
And what did you come up with for people that don't know?
So before every fight, you'll see me the snake sign, raising it above their head. And it's so funny to see people's responses when I do it. And when I first started doing it, it's even down to when I first started doing it, the crowd laughing, like, what's that? It's crazy. I remember even the guys in the gym when I got back the first time I started doing it, they're like, oh yeah, he was doing some weird superhero thing. And talking in the gym, then a couple of fights in, the opponent's kind of like getting a bit nervous of it.
Because you go slow and then you go
right. I'm looking right at them in their eye and I put it up and
then you go like
a lot of opponents are always like slightly shift their eyes and they want to see, they want to look at it. And I've taken you at the moment. I've broken this. And again, this for me there's so many benefits, and sometimes it's a coincidence. I didn't plan to have those benefits, but there's so many benefits to having fun and doing those things to people. And it's also quite almost an animal thing. I'm rising myself above you. I'm showing I'm puffing up my chest bigger to bring you down.
Yeah.
And it's worked multiple times.
Yeah. Well, you're already tall. Yeah. And then when you do that over someone, and I guess it raises your whole posture up.
Exactly.
And it just looks like, you're dominating them.
And that's what it is. And I've seen people break in that moment. And it's weird. That face-off is the first battle.
And what is happening in a face-off? Tell people what's going on, because you're looking into that guy's eyes. Mm-hmm. They've obviously, you've both been training for each other, sometimes for months, sometimes longer.
Yeah.
You guys are probably cutting weight sometimes at the time, and it's a lot of tension. Like, what's happening there? What do you see in someone's eyes?
For me, I'm looking into their belief. I'm looking into that their spirit. I'm saying, are you honest about, do you believe, because everyone can say it, but do you believe you can beat me in this moment? And I'm facing you now, I'm in my position, I'm postured up, and I look in people's eyes, and sometimes I'm like, I can see you don't believe in yourself. I've already won. And then I start, then it comes the next day. You got 24 hours to sit on watch just that exchange. And then I got 24 hours to, when we're finally in the cage, I start doing anything crazy, and all your fears just kick in straight away. You're just like, before, when you're like, he's not going to be able to do that dancing stuff to me. He's not going to be able to do this. He's not going to be able to have fun because I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you're throwing punches and you're missing, and I'm dancing in front of you, and you're just like, damn. And then that little lack of belief that I had in that moment just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing during the fight. And I've seen it many a times.
And you've seen it happen.
Many a times.
And you can see they get frustrated, their posture,
I've seen it where it's frustration to anger, like, now I'm going to try even harder.
Right.
And still no success. And a lot of times you end up running into more because of it, because you're not being yourself. Because again, it's an emotionally driven response. And then sometimes it's frustration into, I just want to get this over and done with. And I've seen that face on many people.
Really?
Many people, where it's kind of like, seriously? Like, I can't believe this is happening. And obviously, the most obvious one to watch is against myself and Dave Rickles' Caveman. Because he's known to be this tough guy that everybody, he's been in wars with people. They're beating on him, and he's almost out, and then he's recovered and he's come back and won the fight. And he's known for being that guy. And I was just chipping away to the point where he was just like, I'm out. And he waved the flags. He's just like, nope, don't want to fight anymore. And he called himself out. And everyone was like, what the hell is going on? But for me, I could see it. And I'm just like, yep, I'm just going to keep doing this, and I'm going to get a response from you. And it's going to be a negative one.
So that's real. The mind games are real.
100%.
Wow. People said that it was that very famous fight between Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva, where Chael was beating on him for 4 rounds, and then he gets triangle choked at the end. And people that train with Chael said, watch that. He just wanted to get out of there at the end. He never really thought he could win. And And it's hard for us to believe that at a professional level, at that high-end level, that there still is a bit of doubt. But I guess everyone's human, right?
Everyone is human. Everyone is human. And sometimes sometimes a profile of a person can get to you. It can really get it's Anderson Silva.
Right.
You know?
So subconscious.
Yeah. And I'm going to relate it to another sport where, I don't know, football, Man City's they're one of the best teams in the world at the moment. And they got that appeal now. Oh, damn, it's Man City. And let's say they're playing a team, you score the first goal. Damn it, we're winning. It's like, you celebrate it, but it's like, damn, we're winning. Can we actually keep this up?
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're attacking. It's like, then one goal goes and then you head drop. Another goal goes and it's like, yeah, well, I kind of knew this happened. No, your mentality was already there. You scored the goal without really believing that you could have even done that.
And it made it worse.
Right. Because you now have time to sit on that and still having to achieve a goal. And you came to that finishing line and then they score 3 goals past you. You're just like, geez. And it's the same thing. Charles is like, I'm at the finishing line, but can I really?
Yeah. And you go all the way back to that stuff, maybe as a kid, and being bullied and all those things creep in. And
everything does. Well, this is why I don't necessarily like to pay too much attention to people that I'm going to fight. And people sometimes, I get asked all the time, oh, do you watch your opponents? Nah, not really. I don't really watch them. I have a lot of faith in my coaches, a lot of faith in my coaches, and they're very detailed in when they're explaining about what my opponent can and can't do. They're very, very detailed. So I usually use that as the ground. And even my coach, like, have you watched him? I'm like, no. He's just like, just watch him though. So I usually just before the fight, I watch a video just to put a face to that profile.
Right.
Because sometimes I haven't seen them. This is slightly different because I was scheduled to fight Derek Anderson before. So I've seen a couple of clips. I know his face, if you know what I mean. And then there's obviously certain people that, like the Douglas Clemens, that you would have seen as I was growing anyway. I'm building myself up. So certain people I already have a face to, but he just wants me to see it. But
you don't want to see a highlight reel. You don't want that stuff in the back of your head. You just want to know roughly what he's style.
What do I need to do?
You.
What do I need to do? I like to put everything needs to be my fault. What do I need to do to beat that? Okay. You tell me, I work on that, and then we go out and we win. Okay. That's it.
And is your face-off always cool, or does someone ever rile you up, or No,
it's like
did the Irish guy get in your head a little, or vice versa? Or?
It's funny because I genuinely never believed in this guy. Okay. And
but he talked more rubbish than any other opponent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He pulled 100%. An MVP on MVP.
Yeah, he was that kind of guy, and it's weird that I bit in terms of online, socially, on him because he was talking about my teammates. He's been speaking about me for ages. There's clips of him talking about wanting to fight me, and he thinks I'm this and thinks I'm that, and he's got the gift of the gab. Give it to him. He's very good at talking. To be fair, most of the guys in Ireland are very quick-witted and stuff.
Yes.
So, so that's his thing. So it didn't bother me, but I've had multiple people. When you're rising, everybody's trying to shoot you down. So I've had multiple people attacking me. It doesn't bother me. Then he was keep talking about my teammate. He was supposed to fight one of my teammates, and he kept talking about my teammates and stuff. And I was just like, and bit at it, a little bit back and forward, and then Bellator was like, oh, do you want to fight him? I didn't think they were being serious at the time. I was like, you're still gonna pay me, yeah? Well, I get paid, yeah, to fight him. And they're like, yeah, people seem to be talking about it, so I'm like, if you're gonna pay me, as long as I get to fight again in this time, because I actually said that to them before, I really do want to fight on the London show. That's definitely going to be like more important. And they said, yeah, as if you're fit and well, then you can do it. I was like, cool. Two paydays, two fights knocked off the contract. Why wouldn't I do it?
Okay.
And I get to fight in Dublin. And to be fair, I have to say, and the Cyborg and the last Dave Rook was fighting in London, the energy was crazy, but Dublin took it.
Really?
Oh my days. They are unbelievable. As fans, you can see that they truly appreciate fighting, full stop. But as fans, they lift. I've never been in front of a place that had lifted that had that kind of noise.
And you said that the Irish fans were MVP fans.
Oh yeah, 100%. I had a lot of people that come up to me and they're fans because, again, like I said, they appreciate fighting.
Right.
So what I like about them is they're passionate about their country, so which is great. So the lightness is, and I even said that to people. I was like, the lightness is they're gonna be booing me. They're gonna, and these are people that are fans of me, but I'm fighting somebody Irish, and that always tops it off. Over here, it's different. I either like you or I don't like you, regardless of where you're from, right. Which I think is silly. Like I've seen,
you don't get London or British love all the time being here, and it frustrates you.
Yeah,
right?
it frustrates me
come on,
so
guys,
much, man. I just think we should and could be more just unified. Like it should be a thing where if people come to our country to fight, it's one of those things. It's like going to a specific going to Celtic, and they're just like, rah, the fans there are just like going crazy. It should be like that, you know. You should be able to help Europe. I've actually seen fighters that are from the UK get booed over the fighters that are coming from elsewhere, and I'm like, for me that's ridiculous. Like, I do like the way the Irish do it. They're like, and I had guys, you know, I'm a fan of you, but you know, I'm Irish, and I'm just like, yeah, no, cool, man. And as soon as they finish the fight, they just continue appreciating what they've just seen. So they can cheer me now, because the fight's done now. There's no sides anymore. I'm just gonna, you know, cheer you for what you just displayed in the cage. And I love that side of them. They appreciate fighting, but it's nation first, then it's fighting.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love it.
So you'd like to see more of that in this country?
I'd love to see more of that over here.
So last weekend in New York City, in your weight division, was the baddest motherfucker belts. All right, yeah. Nate Diaz against Jorge Masvidal. When you watch that, what do you see? You also see fighters that, who knows, one day you might fight. Mm-hmm. What did you see?
It was, for me, I just wanted to look at, wanted to just watch the fight. The belt for me was just like, whatever. I don't care. I already find the interim belts too much. Like, I feel it's just not necessary. And the fact that it looks exactly the same as the belt, again, seems a bit weird to me. So them adding another belt and actually giving it credibility, if it was something amongst themselves that they can kind of promote and hype up, and yeah, cool, but then they made it a thing endorsed by The Rock as well. I'm just like, man, you're putting a bit too much credibility on this, but is what it is.
Okay. You're slamming the UFC a little bit. All right.
Yeah,
they did it because it's good business.
No, of course. Yeah. And again, it's the hype. Again, I think everything is kind of melting into one now. This is why you got the Tyson Fury's going to MMA to wrestling, and you know this person.
Is Tyson Fury really going into MMA?
But it's regardless of really going into, everyone's talking about it.
Right, talking about it. You got rugby players going into Bellator. You're training James, right?
Exactly.
We've had him on the show.
So it's but I mean, like, not necessarily. It feels like it's not necessarily taken that seriously. It is more a case of how much numbers can we get, can we generate. Now, James is not going to be allowed to fight unless he's ready. You've seen my coaches. They don't play this.
This is James Haskell, rugby player. We've had him on the show.
Yeah.
And he's going to have his first fight in Bellator, and he's training at London
He's training at London Shoot, right. And he's taking it seriously. And Alexis and Paul, if you've met them and you know them, they do not care about publicity. They're not interested. So they're not doing it because, oh yeah, we can get a lot of people to, you know, London Shoot. They knew James. They've known James since he was like 17 or something. So they've known him for a long time. And he used to train at our gym off season, so he would come to our gym anyway. He would always come to our gym, do private sessions, and he's always been fascinated with fighting.
Okay.
So he's actually taking it seriously, and they're taking him seriously. But again, my coach is like, he's not fighting. I don't care how many cameras trying to tell me how much money they're gonna make for this and that. He ain't fighting under my banner unless he's actually capable of fighting.
Okay. Let's quickly talk about Alexis and Paul, founders of London Shoot Fight.
Yeah.
I actually met both of those guys back in, I don't know when it was, 05 or 06, when there was no MMA game, very little MMA game in the UK. But those guys had been training people since what, the 90s?
Yeah. I mean, they've dedicated their whole life to martial arts. So when they tell me about their story, they literally used to. They've done it all, but just it's a case of who's good in martial arts. Let's go live there. Like they live in Japan just to go and train under a specific person, and they've gone over here just to go and train under a specific person. Jiu-jitsu black belt, Olympic wrestling pedigree, Olympic lifting, boxing. Like they've just gone through Aikido. they just fans of martial arts. And then they were like, then they found, started hearing about all this, the mixed martial arts. And I can't remember who it was that they, they were doing work with. And then they were like, let's just start our own thing. And one thing about them both is what I like, and it's something that's, I try to keep myself, is just remain a student. They are amazing coaches, and I really wished that they actually publicizing themselves to a degree, because I just feel like everybody should know them. Because they're just amazing characters, amazing people, but I just feel like more people should know about them. They're just great at what they do. They're scientists.
But they're very quiet guys.
They literally don't like. They hate even hearing about other coaches doing book tours and doing this and doing that. They hate it. It's like you said. Anytime I had cameras coming in the gym, they're like, "Yeah, you're not filming me. It's about him. It's fine. It's about him."
Yeah.
They don't like it.
But they're really good and super old school, and one of the only gyms in London, like we were talking earlier, it was like London Shoot Fight was here, and there was like nothing else. And not only were they the only one, but they were really good. And Paul has a sick wrestling background, which you don't find in the UK. I think he was wrestling for the Olympic team. And then Alexi, and I used to kind of just stumble over there. It was really scary going over there. I used to be kind of intimidated. And they trained Lee Murray, which is one of the first British guys to fight in the UFC, who actually went in and had a submission win, even though he was an amazing striker. And I trained with Paul a little bit, and then he threw me in for a sparring session one time, and I actually broke my arm in one of my sparring sessions. And it was nothing against him. I didn't know it was broke for like 3 months, so I got this cool plate here. But look, it was always massive respect. But again, a lot of people hadn't heard about those guys or London Shoot because they weren't into self-promotion. So knowing you're over there, and I went and trained with you about 3 years ago, and we shot some footage. Alexi was making sure he wasn't in front of the camera. And it's just an old school place. They don't play around. They work. You guys work really hard. You were saying people come over from America and the UFC fighters, and they're like, after a few days, and we've had it multiple times. You see it on their face. They're like looking around, like, I can't believe you guys are still going. After the day that I had, yesterday, I'd probably do like, he said, like, the next day, if I had a day like that in the gym, in the States, I'd probably do like a jogging and then maybe a little strength and conditioning. Active rest, hot tub.
And we're like, we don't get that here. We just don't get that here. And sometimes I've had some crazy days, sparring, doing this, doing that. Next day, it's like, you ready to pad up again. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. and we go again. And with Alexis, it's funny because I think he trains you mentally as well, because I don't know if he does this intentionally, but sometimes he's always, okay, so we're just going to do this today and just do this and this, and then, we'll call it a day. Cool. Once we've just done that and that, he's like, yeah, just one more, we'll do that again. Okay, I just want you to do this now. Okay, fitness on the end of that. And you're just like, yeah. Oh my, yeah. So I always say,
testing your mental game.
He's just, his favorite thing to say is, just one more time. Yeah, just one more time. And we'll be there for another a couple of hours with him saying just one more time. And I've got a little apprentice that I brought over. He's a young guy, Mike Kimball. He's coming over, he fights for Bellator, and I really like his personality. He's a really lovely kid. And I was like, come over and train with us and see how you feel with that. And he's enjoying it, he's loving it, doing really well. Again, he's like, man, you guys, it's nonstop. And then sometimes he's like, oh yeah, Alexis just told me that I'm just doing this today. And I'm like, you're probably gonna do more. He's like, no, but Alexis, he said. And I said, okay, but just remember that I said, you're probably gonna be doing more. And he gets there and he's no doubt doing a lot more. And he's just like, man, I thought Alexis was gonna go easy on me today. No, that's just how Alexis is. Paul, them guys are just like, let's get it. It's nonstop.
And you guys are a family. You guys are really everyone's tight over there, right?
Like it's weird. The video I posted, I was like, if I bring that special girl to come home and visit my family, this is what she'd see. And it was just all of us in the gym, fighting, sparring, and they are my family. This is why, like I said, I can take a lot of stuff for myself, so people can say what they want. But when it's them guys, I'm like, just get protective, and we're all like that of each other. And obviously, my success for me is to do with, a lot of it is them. Obviously, I came in with a certain standard of kickboxing, but that transition. If I went with the wrong person, I wouldn't be who I am today. I'd be that guy that's had like a couple of good fights, couple of bad fights, couple of spectacular things, but no one really remember anything. They've coached and managed me very well, but they also just have my back, and it does mean a lot. They like, I love them to bits. So, and I'll do anything for them if they needed help for anything. They truly, well and truly have my back, and I like to say that I have theirs as well. But it's just such a nice place to be. It is really, the guys in there, and it's to do with, because I've been to gyms where it can be a bit cliquey. You know, there's a couple of the top level guys, and a couple of these up and comings, and the newbies over here, and then the coaches over. And even with the coaches, sometimes you got like coaches that don't like this coach and this, and I've been to gyms and I'm just like, this just seems messy.
Too many head games.
It's just, but then these guys, there's two egos in the gym, it's the coaches. And they, for me, they're like yin and yang. So I'd just say there's one ego in the gym, and that's both of those. Nobody else is allowed to even remote. You'll be figured out very quickly if you even try to come in with it and puff out your chest for a second. So everybody else is like, cool, we'll leave it to them.
You get a beat down somehow if that happens.
Oh no, it's happened a few times, but there's people that's come in, with a bit of attitude, and they learn very quickly. It's just that type of gym.
I once knew a kid like 10 years ago, and he's like, I'm going to train at London Shoot Fight. And without even thinking, the only thing that came in my mouth was, bring your mouthpiece. That's all I said, bring your mouthpiece.
But you get guys that kind of come in, like even when I've come from the kickboxing world, 10 times world champion in the kickboxing, I've gone into this gym, I'm not trying to promote myself, let me just go and do classes. That's it. I'm literally going to go in there, do the classes, and see how I go on, because I don't know how well I'd actually going to do in the mixed martial arts world. And once they kind of found me out, like, oh, you obviously got a background, and okay, let's start working. I just kind of went from there. But I've seen guys come into the gym like, I'm this champion, and I've won this and I've won that. I want to fight. It's like, okay, and they usually like, cool, good on you and what you've done and what you've achieved. Start the classes first. We'll have a look at you, and see how I want to fight somebody. And then it's like, okay, you said it.
Like, Michael.
Seriously, I get the call. Michael's like, and this is why you have to just be ready to spar. I could have had a crazy sparring day the day before. We're not necessarily supposed to spar. You can spar any day in that gym, but we have set days that we would normally spar. So we've done it. Have a sparring day. Next day, I'm doing technical work. Some guy walks in, running his mouth. Lex is like, deal with that. And he said he said it to me at the beginning when I first came in. He said, if somebody comes in here and one of you guys don't deal with him, I'll kick off my shoes in the end. But I don't expect anybody to get to me. And that's how it's been. There's been one guy that came in, amazing wrestling pedigree. So Alexis sent a couple of the wrestlers at him, and he was just awkward as hell, just giving people problems. And Alexis was like, shoes off, boom, slamming him, just
wrestling.
Just murdered him, wrestling. And now the guy works for us. he's now one of the coaches at the gym, and he's amazing. So, but that's just how our gym is.
Yeah, it's old school too. I've been to the new one, but it was old school.
Yeah,
man.
It's still the same. It's just the same people.
Yeah, it's rough. I guess the gym tells you about the people. It's like, it's all about the work. It's all about the attitude. It's not about the glamour and the glitz. And
it's not. It's not. It really isn't.
I can't think of a gym in America that seems that tight-knit as you guys, a lot of...
I haven't been over. I've only been to one, and I didn't get to see a lot. So I'll never judge on it based on the thing. I just know what I have.
Yeah.
And what I have for me just feels very unique. It does feel very unique.
It's a solid place. Well, I was there with you, I think like 3 years ago when we did that training. And man, you taught me a lot of that hands down stuff. And it was eye-opening for me because I was taught real classic, Thai boxing stance. And when you showed me that hands down, side to side, I still play around with the gym with that. You spent an hour with me. Yeah. And that literally locked in my brain. And I'm trying that back and forth stuff. And now I understand why you do the hands down stuff. There's this guy on YouTube that's been talking some shit about me, a YouTuber. And so next year, I might have to go into the cage and sort him out.
Let's make it happen.
All right, you got my back?
Come on, I'll definitely got your back.
Man.
Definitely got your back. Let's make it happen.
All right, Tai Lopez, I'm coming for you, and I got MVP with me. So no, that'd be super cool, man. I got to get one done before I'm 50.
Yeah,
right?
man.
I've always dreamed of.
That would be good. That would be great.
Yeah.
So you did more like an MMA thing?
I think it's got to be MMA because like I trained jiu-jitsu before. And I've
So,
always loved it. When 10 years ago, I couldn't get around the fear of it, you know? I think I was just too scared. But now, I'm not saying I won't get hurt, but I think I can get my head around the fear.
Yeah.
Because I know whatever happens in that 5 to 15 minutes, like I know that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So now I know I can mentally get in there.
It's funny,
you know?
I say to someone, I can't remember, was asking, like, what does it feel like, you know, like, because same kind of thing, they got the natural fears about the MMA. And like the worst thing is you wake up and don't remember what happened anyway.
Perfect, right?
So it's fine.
Yeah, perfect, right? You know, people ask me a lot of times about like plant medicines and ayahuasca, and our next movie's about that. And I'm like, look, for 3 hours, it's very difficult emotionally and physically. But after that, you're alive and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So people are, I could never do that. I'm like, well, yeah, of course you could. And
I think people just build things up more in their head.
Right.
So then when they actually experience it, they're like, oh, actually, it was nowhere near that as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of times you are your own worst enemy.
And I would have a tendency to go in and do what you described earlier. Be like, okay, okay, Michael, it's really serious. I'm gonna go in and stick to the game plan. And you're gonna be like, no, Brian, I want you to have fun and dance and do the walk away knockout, just like I taught you. So,
but it's usually on the night. A lot of times you could be doing everything right in the gym. On the night you start to think, oh man, my family here, you know, my family's watching.
Yeah, right.
You know, my parents are down, you know, my friends have all come out to this. I can't let them down. And as you're doing it, as you're saying it to yourself, you're getting more and more tense. And for some people, and I always say to any of the fighters, I'm like, please just, whatever you do, don't fight for money. Just don't fight for money. Be good at what you do, the money will come. Do not fight for money, because that's another stress you're gonna put yourself on. Because a lot of the way people in the MMA get paid, especially at the earlier stages, is for you get paid to show up and you get paid to win.
Right.
You see what I mean?
And that messes with people's heads.
That messes with people because you're already spending the money that you have to win. So you're like, yeah, I'm you know, let's say you're getting 5K to show up, you're getting 5K to win the fight. You're like, okay, so you know, 10K, I'm gonna need to I can get this done with 10K, and I can do this, I can pay off that, and pay off this, and I can do that, and then I can help, and then we can go on a holiday. Oh damn, I need to win. No, that's again, you're already stressing yourself out, and I've seen multiple fighters do that. It's like, yeah, so I'm, you know, this next fight I'm gonna earn this, and I can do it. I'm like, why are you talking to me about your pay? That's weird.
You're already
you're already in the
already
wrong.
gonna lose.
It's already, and you might get past this hurdle. Then you're gonna do it again, and the money goes up a little bit, but it's even more. It means a little bit more to you this next time.
It's more money.
It's more money, and now you know you're spending on the next car you got, and you shouldn't do any of that. You know, that's just separate. Once you have it, do what you want to do with it. But until then, it's just focus on the experience and just be happy, enjoying that experience. I remember my friend telling me, yeah, man, if I was to win the lottery, you know, you don't have to fight no more. You don't have to do this. And we were just all like, as our friends. So I was like, I'd still fight. He's like, why? I was like, because I enjoy fighting. I'm not fighting to get paid. I didn't know I was going to get paid when I started. So why would I choose this? I would have gone and worked somewhere else. It would have been a lot easier. So he's like, okay, well, you keep fighting them. But I'm like, yeah, it's not, for me, it's not a financial thing. I'm just happy that I'm able to live off it at the moment. Do you see what I mean? I'm able to, what my work, this provides for me, allow me to just focus on this. Whereas in MMA, it's difficult now. Well, it's getting better, but it's very difficult to start in MMA, especially if you've already got commitments and stuff, because a lot of people they're still working 1 and 2 jobs, and then they have to run to the gym, then they go run back to another job, and it's tiring to get off the ground. Very tiring. You don't get that kind of support. There's no scholarships. There's none of that. So it's very difficult to start. Very, very difficult.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.